Yeah. So
you associate the attack and a person, and your brain is just like, that person was there, so you think that
weird
person
tie.
did it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what, if any, other evidence was available, but they were arrested, they were tried, and they were found guilty. Frank, the younger one, was sentenced to hang, and his father was sentenced to life in prison. And about a year later, Rosie retracted her statement.
Didn't her husband divorce her because he was like, no, that's not true, and then and then she kept saying, yeah, it's true, and he was like, you're such a liar.
I haven't
divorce.
I don't know if that was the actual reason for it. That might have been part of the reason. But I know he did divorce her, but I'm not sure.
I also think, and this is very symptomatic of situations like this, is that their child, who is an infant, has been killed.
Yeah.
And that does not do good things for a relationship.
Oh,
and it's usually the catalyst for things not continuing to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it could have been very well that it wasn't his issue with her claims of the guilt of this man, but just they couldn't reconcile what had happened.
Yeah.
So that's also a reason for why they would have split.
Sure.
Yeah. So anyway, whatever the reason, I don't know, and I don't know what happened to her. You would think that if she had made false accusations like that, she could be arrested and jailed herself.
Could be, but also, I mean, I think you give some leeway for head injuries like that.
Yeah, there's the sympathetic aspect there for concussed mother who lost child. I mean, I can see why they wouldn't go after her, but I don't see why they went after these other two gentlemen either.
Yeah. Well, they had to arrest somebody.
No, they didn't.
So about 3 days after this incident, the Axeman sat down and penned that famous letter, the one from hell, dated March 13th, 1919. Esteemed mortal, they have never caught me and they never will. They have never seen me, for I am invisible, even as the ether that surrounds your earth. I am not a human being, but a spirit and a demon from the hottest hell. I am what you Orleanians and your foolish police call the Axeman. When I see fit, I shall come and claim other victims. I alone know whom they shall be. I shall leave no clue except my bloody axe, besmeared with blood and brains of he whom I have sent below to keep me company. You guys let me know when you're done listening to this thing. We don't have to read the entire thing.
Well, how much more we got?
Oh, that's only the second paragraph. Yeah. Let me skip a little bit here. Undoubtedly, you Orleanians think of me as the most horrible murderer, which I am, but I could be much worse if I wanted to. If I wished, I could pay a visit to your city every night. At will, I could slay thousands of your best citizens, for I am in close relationship with the angel of death.
All right, we can stop there.
Yeah, that's just
nutter.
Yeah, total nutter.
Nutter.
Yeah. Okay, real quickly though.
I knew he wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
Once he gets on a roll.
I know.
I'm
So
sorry.
skipping a little bit, in my infinite mercy, I'm going to make a little proposition to you people. Here it is. I am very fond of jazz music, and I swear by all the devils in the nether regions that every person shall be spared in whose home a jazz band is in full swing at the time I have just mentioned. If everyone has a jazz band going, well, then, so much the better for you people. One thing is certain, and that is that some of your people who do not jazz it on Tuesday night, if there be any, will get the axe. Okay, so there's more, but just go out and read it.
Yeah, that's a great letter. Very well done.
Yeah, it's a well-written letter. I thought...
There's just that one weird outstanding paragraph, basically. The rest of it is kind of good. It's kind of perfect axe murdery.
I know. It's just kind of sinister and yet urbane and
a little crazy.
Cuckoo's nest.
But that's what you want from your axe murderer. You don't want your axe murderer to be a total...
What do we got next?
Yeah. Okay, so a little bit of time goes by. August 10th, 1919. This is actually the one occurred exactly a year before this. Interesting. I don't know if August 10th has any
I never
significance.
noticed that, but there's a little symmetry there.
Yeah, there is. So a guy named Steve Bocca, another grocer, another Italian, of course, had an apartment above or next to his store, and he was attacked as he slept by somebody with an axe. He awoke, found a dark figure looming over his bed, got whacked, but didn't get killed. His head had been sort of cracked open. He went to his neighbor's home where he collapsed, but he survived. And they found once again that a panel on the back door had been chiseled out, and in this particular case, it didn't say anything about whether he had left the axe behind or not. So he couldn't remember anything of any of the details of the attack, really. Our next victim, Sarah Lahman. She was attacked on September 3rd, 1919. She lived alone. She was 19 years old, and the neighbors...
That seems odd for the time, but okay.
I know,
It is a little weird.
It is, yeah, but...
without husband and without family?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but apparently her neighbors kept an eye on her, and they would come by and check on her. And she wasn't answering the door, so they wound up breaking in, and they found her unconscious on her bed, severe head injury, and had some teeth broken out. The intruder apparently had entered through an open window and hit her with a blunt object. Bloody axe was discovered on the front lawn, and so it was attributed to the Axeman. She, again, like the previous guy, recovered, but couldn't recall any details about the attack. Okay, next, and this is our last victim, Mike Pepitone, who was attacked October 27th, 1919. His wife, and I'm not really sure if they were sleeping in the same bed or what.
It's not rare, for times like these for people to not be sleeping in the same bed or the same room or whatever.
For proper reasons of moral standing,
or maybe because somebody snores, or maybe
Well, no, that is a kind of a common thing, and actually, it's been proven that it's actually good for some people to sleep in separate beds. But I'm just trying to determine: is this it's the 1950s husband-wife sleep in different beds kind of theory, or she was just sleeping somewhere else?
That's what I understand. It sounds to me like she was sleeping in a different room.
Yeah, there's the social stigma of sleeping in separate rooms didn't really come about until like the 60s.
Well, I watched Leave It to Beaver as a kid, so I understand that that's the way it was supposed to have always been. Mm-hmm. You're really destroying a lot of my preconceptions of how life is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't have to buy that extra bed for my house. Anyway, Joe,
but as you mentioned, like a bigger bed's a luxury, so like if there's any kind of sleep, when you're sleeping in a queen bed with somebody, right, you're like, okay, well, that's mildly annoying. But if you're like trying to sleep on a twin mattress with somebody else, you're like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Not tonight.
No.
Yeah. So anyway, it's so I'm assuming that from what I've heard about this, that they were in separate rooms. She hears noise, and she gets to his bedroom, and a large axe-wielding man comes out fleeing the scene, and he'd been struck in the head, was covered with blood. There was spatter all over the room, all over the walls. Mrs. Pepitone was not able to really describe the characteristics of the killer. Her description was just downright vague. And there's reason to suspect that maybe she didn't tell the police everything. Yeah, and also, by the way, this is the one where another version of this, he was not beaten to death or chopped with an axe. He was beaten to death with an 18-inch long pipe and had a big nut on one end of it.
Oh.
Yeah. Entirely possible.
Again, this weird MO issue that I talked about earlier that bothers me about this story.
Yeah.
It's always bothering me.
Maybe he didn't have an axe laying around. Maybe he just had a big old piece of pipe laying around. Yeah, so anyway.
I also want to point out that for somebody who's like a quote-unquote serial killer, didn't really kill that many people.
No, he was not.
The majority of his victims survived.
Yeah, he was kind of incompetent. He actually didn't kill everybody. And so that's...
If killing was the intention, you're right, incompetent would be the word. If killing was not the intention, then fairly successful, except for a couple of screw-ups.
I guess, to be fair, though, that first one is actually, the least like the MO, right? He, slit their throats, killing them, and then bashed their head in with the axe.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them, they were just, attacked, they were bashed over the head a bunch of times, and either they died from it or they didn't, but... So that's odd to me, but...
Yeah, it is. It's... it might be that a lot of these people didn't die because he didn't really intend to kill them. There's maybe, as in other serial murder cases, perhaps there was just one person that he wanted to murder, for sure. So, and then he had to go around and make it look like a random, unconnected string of serial killers.
He proposed this before. I just think that is obscene because there's just so much work involved. Screw that.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm just going to duck it and try and avoid the heat and the coppers and see if I can get away with it.
Yeah, there's that too.
Because a million people have done it and got away with it that way.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So that's just something.
That's just a long game, which I don't think is really the way this would go.
Agreed.
True. There is a pretty short list of suspects. Actually, there's only really 2 suspects.
Yeah.
This is again Steve's gonna hate this, I think.
Yeah.
Right? He hated it
Yeah.
last week when we were like, "Nah, there's 2 suspects."
Yep.
Kinda.
Only 2.
Well, did you? You've included in the list the one I sent you, right?
Jake Bird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually had to send him a suspect because this frustrated me so much. I found a suspect.
You just made one up.
Oh, totally. No.
Yeah.
No. I had to keep digging because it's just difficult to find suspects in this story. Because
Yeah.
I mean, again, we're talking the late 1910 to
1910s,
20.
Yeah.
The record keeping is not an efficient process.
Yeah, no one
so
was like backing up their hard drives or anything.
It was
It's
literally
weird.
a card catalog.
Yeah.
And handwritten notes in a vault, and oops, the police station burned down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that
This
it's
is
very
all-
frustrating. That's
Yeah.
why I sent him a suspect. But
Okay.
Yeah, Jake Bird.
we're not gonna go there. We're gonna
All right,
start
but
with your first
we're
one
gonna go
because
with the
I
first
like
one.
the first one better.
Well, the first one, yeah, I think actually is a better suspect. So this guy's name was Joseph Momfrey. I've seen his name spelled so many different ways.
Yeah.
And
Mumfrey, Monfrey, Manfrey, Mumford and Son.
Somebody called him Leon J. Manfrey. So this guy was shot to death in Los Angeles. Again, accounts vary. This is, again, like so many of our stories, it's gotten so garbled over the years. He was shot to death in either December 1919 or December 1920 or December 1921.
But definitely December.
Yeah, definitely December, definitely in Los Angeles. A guy named Richard Warner did a lot of research on the mob in Los Angeles and New Orleans, and he's kind of recast his story as mafia warfare rather than some sort of demonic serial killer, and which might explain all the Italians involved in the story. Joseph Momfrey was also known in New Orleans as Frank, quote, Doc, unquote, Mumfrey. And so that was probably his real name. He was involved apparently with the mob. He got involved in murders, extortions, bombings, kidnappings. He did all kinds of good stuff. And he relocated to L.A. in late 1919. So if he was the killer, that would explain why the
They
killing
stopped?
Because he was later joined.
Or the attacks,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and I'm not. And this is a lot of this interesting information I'm about to unload on you all is I want to give a little credit here. There's a crime writer named Michael Newton who did a lot of research and wrote a bunch of stuff on this, and also again that other guy, Richard, what's his face? Richard Warner. Richard Warner pieced together most of this.
I
So
like
don't wanna get
Richard.
these-
What's his face?
Yeah, Richard Warner pieced together most of this. So apparently, Mumfrey moved to L.A., opened a drugstore, and because, I didn't mention, he was called Doc. That was his nickname because he was actually a pharmacist by trade. And so that explains the nickname. So he opens a drugstore, and I don't know if that was a front or maybe he was just wanted to get out of his life of crime. I'm not sure. He was joined in Los Angeles by an associate from New Orleans, Angelo Albano. Albano opened an Italian grocery. So, and guess what? He wound up dying apparently.
Weird.
Yeah, he disappeared. Italian grocers just remind me never to open an
Especially
Italian grocery.
when Doc Mumfrey's around.
Yeah,
right?
I know. Albano, after a year or two, disappeared. His wife accused Mumfrey of murdering him.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is where it gets hairy.
This is where it gets a little strange. So a few months after the disappearance, he reported this to the police. The police basically did nothing, or maybe they investigated but really couldn't come up with anything. Mumfrey went to the widow's house. He threatened her and demanded money, and she shot him. And her
Good,
name-
strong,
Yeah.
upstanding woman
Yeah.
of the community.
Yeah, her name was Esther Albano. And she was also the widow of Mike Pepitone.
What?
Yeah.
What?
He's the first victim?
He's the last one.
Last one.
Or last
Last
victim? Oh,
one.
okay.
Yeah, apparently
The one
went,
who had like a bunch of kids and couldn't
Yeah, she had, like,
manage
6
to like
kids or
describe,
something.
and
Yeah.
just was like, well, I don't know who murdered my husband,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, apparently. Yeah, apparently she was out in L.A. and she met Angelo Albano, and they wound up getting married. And then of course he gets apparently disappeared and murdered. And so she told the police that Mumfrey had actually killed 2 of her husbands. Because of this, now she's accusing him, even though she said at the time that Mike Pepitone was killed that she didn't know, and gave very vague descriptions. Now she seemed sure that Mumfrey actually was the killer. So it could be. Well, it could be. I mean, anyway, if she and her husband had been involved with the mafia, then obviously you don't tell the cops anything. That's
Right.
just So that might
Unless you
explain it.
want to die.
Yeah, but of course, if that was the case, then I'm not sure why she's talking to the police at this point in time either.
Well, I mean, I guess there's also the argument to be made, right, that like maybe she was going for Albano anyways, right? Like she wanted to be with him, and this is like the lady version of this, right? Like she wanted to be with Albano, and so Albano was like, "Hey, Murphy, you're pretty good at this killing thing. Why don't you go kill my lady's husband?"
Oh, like she was having an affair on the side. Oh,
Yeah.
I like
And
that.
that, like,
That's
then-
juicy.
That is a good theory. I like that
I
theory.
mean, hey, you've been killing all these people or attacking all these people. Why don't you like do me a favor?
it
It would
You know.
explain why she ended up with a guy who was associated with somebody who might have killed her husband.
Okay, but I just have to say that would be the weirdest pillow talk ever.
Oh, for sure.
So I've totally been hacking people up with hatchets or axes and lead pipes and straight razors, and you're the best, and I want to be with you ever.
Oh, no,
You're
no,
so
no.
great.
No. It goes different than that.
Yeah,
It's
but-
the pillow talk is like, man, I really love you and I want to be with you, but my husband's in the way.
Do you know somebody
And
that can
then-
maybe chop them up?
Yeah,
with an
because
axe?
you're part of the
Yeah.
mafia. So like, do you think you know somebody? And
Oh,
then
I totally
he would
know
be
a
like,
guy.
Yeah, I know a guy.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I'll see if I can get him to do
Okay,
it.
I took it the wrong way.
Yeah, that
I
it
like
wouldn't have been Al Lapino. That it would have
all
been.
it
Albano,
still is
would've been
creepy
Albano, yeah.
pillow talk, but
Sure. Well,
Yeah.
If movies have taught me anything, it's that very often happens.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Guys like
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson and Jessica, what's her name? And,
Yeah.
So, so anyway, she shot Mumphrey to death. She claimed self-defense, but she was arrested, tried, and convicted for it anyhow. She was sentenced to 10 years and didn't do all that time. I think she only did 2 or 3 years. A man named he searched the police and court records in Los Angeles, and he couldn't find anybody named Mumphrey being killed at that time. So he was kind of trying to debunk this whole thing. But Richard Warner, the other guy, did actually do a search, and he found a death certificate for Leon J. Manfrey, issued by Los Angeles County in 1919.
Weird.
Or 1921 or wherever. I can't remember now. But
well, the dates are mixed up. We don't have a solid date
yeah,
here.
so he did find that. So, and this guy, let's not forget, his name was Frank, quote unquote, Doc Mumphrey, or Joseph Mumphrey, or God knows what. He might have had a lot of aliases. Maybe Leon Mumphrey was his actual real name. I don't know, or maybe that's the fake ID that they found on him when they found his corpse. I'm not sure.
Or the one person who came to ID him
Yeah.
was like, oh yeah, that's Leon. Manfrey.
Yeah. So anyway, that's our suspect. He may or may not be the guy. Nobody knows. He seems to be everybody else's favorite too. Okay, suspect number 2, Jake Bird. So Jake Bird was a transient, and he moved all around the country. He took odd jobs, working as a laborer, working on railroads as a quote-unquote gandy dancer, which is a strange-sounding thing, but apparently gandy dancers are the guys that lay the tracks and maintain the tracks. So he did a lot of work on railroads doing that kind of stuff.
That's a weird phrase.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know why.
I don't understand it, but I'll just let it go.
It's pretty random, I know. But he was born and raised in, guess where? Louisiana. Yeah, born December 14th, 1901, which would have made him 17 at the time of the first murder.
Okay.
Assuming that the 1911, 1912 stuff is not connected. And I can't believe he's murdering people at 10 years old.
Yeah,
but-
probably not.
Yeah, that's a disturbed individual if that's the case. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I don't buy that.
Yeah. Jake Bird was in and out of jail his whole life. Reportedly, he served over his lifetime a total of 31 years.
Wow.
off and on.
And
Yeah, that's a long
how
time
old
to-
was he when he died?
He was 40, 47, 48.
Wow!
Yeah, I know. He spent a lot of time in jail.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
Yeah, I mean, and that's actually a good thing, because, I mean, if he was as prolific a killer as we are led to believe, then imagine how many more corpses he would have left behind.
yeah.
If he hadn't, yeah. So he was arrested October 30th, 1947 in good old Tacoma, Washington, one of my favorite towns to drive through. Yeah, he axe murdered 2 women. It was a lady,
Axe murdered, please, ladies and gentlemen, pick that out.
Axe murdered.
Axe murdered.
He axe murdered him with an axe that he found on their property. He was, it was a woman and her 17-year-old daughter, and he went inside and grabbed an axe from the woodshed outside. Apparently, went inside and was apparently, according to some accounts that I read, trying to rape the mother. and then she resisted. He started chopping her with the axe. The daughter comes in and tries to and interrupts, and so she gets hacked, and then he flees, and police see him fleeing the scene because the neighbors had called the police because they'd